find me here at Lasham Airfield on the main runway, runway 0927. We're quite a way down, it's quiet at the moment, and I'm really excited because I'm about to start a gliding course here. Lasham offer a course taking powered pilots who are used to that general aviation or maybe airline guys, and take them all the way through to flying gliders, hopefully into doing some cross country as well. I've got my instructor here, Jordan.
Hello, hello. Good to see you, Ben.
Good to see you.
Yes, that's what we've got to do still at the moment.
Well, Jordan and I know each other. We've known each other for a good few years now, and he has bantered me a little bit about doing some gliding, but not as much as the guy over there.
Yeah, well.
Flight Deck Wingman.
Hey guys.
So, you all know Flight Deck Wingman. He's a big glider guy, and he's been bantering me an awful lot to sort of do some gliding, and I've been like, well, I don't know, and you know, these guys talked to each other and sort of said, right, let's get Ben through a course, and that's why I'm here. Jordan, what am I actually going to be doing?
Well, we're going to be starting off, Ben, in the Motorglider, because I think you actually started to learn initially when you went solo on TMGs. Was that right? In the vision with the Air Cadets?
Rob 109, solo my 16th birthday, back in the day.
And we're going to get you familiar with some of the sort of the basic effects and controls into sort of coordinated turns, some upper air work, including stalling, some spiral dives, as well as then some circuit planning before we then get into the glider itself and go flying.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Scrabble, what do you think I'm going to find difficult going for flying? You're an airline guy, you've got a lot of different types. What will I find different compared to my day job?
So you're flying a glider, obviously no engine. Things like inability to go around. So the approach doesn't go according to plan. You've only got one chance of the approach, so there's no go-around options. That's unusual. And just getting used to how the air, you probably felt good to flying GA aircraft and big and Falcons and things. The way the air affects the glider, so rising, sinking air, and really have to think about that, particularly when you get close to the ground for circuits.
John, how are we going to do this? What's the plan?
So, yeah, so we'll start off with the Motorglider, and that will get out of the way fairly quickly on day one. And towards the end of day one and into day two, we'll get properly into one of our modern gliders, the K21, built in Germany. And from there, we'll just build you up on aerotowing. Sort of look at the emergency procedures we need to do in case we have an aerotow failure or something like that. Then on to sort of circuit planning and flying an actual glider, and some soaring, maybe even cross-country flights.
Just found myself by a very nice yellow Falke Motorglider. Here with Jordan, he's going to give me a quick walk around, show me the differences between sort of an SEP that I'm used to and a Motorglider, and then we're going to go for our first training flight shortly. Yeah. Jordan, tell me all about it.
So yeah, Motorglider, bit of an oxymoron really, because most people think glider, no engine, powered aeroplane, engine. But in this case, we've got sort of a hybrid of the two. Could be said as the worst of both worlds or the best of both worlds.
The
main thing is, we can actually switch the engine off to do some of our exercises without having to land back. So the first thing we notice, big wings.
Yeah.
About 15-metre wingspan on one of these.
Oh, it's quite large,
so yeah, quite a lot bigger. I think a Cessna is probably about 9-metre wingspan or something like that. So significantly bigger wings. Means it's a bit like an A380 detects around airfields. Also, these things on the top, you won't see that normally on a Cessna. Any idea what that might be?
An air brake.
An air brake, or spoiler as they are.
Spoiler.
Spoiler on a Falke, yes. But yeah, air brake, spoiler, fairly similar. And no flaps on this either, so we can completely control our approach angle by using the spoilers today.
Cool.
And then obviously you've got an engine, Rotax 912, fairly similar to what a lot of the light sport aeroplanes have.
Yeah, the Eurofox knife engine.
This one is a fixed pitch propeller, so unfortunately we can't actually sort of feather it to make it any more efficient. And it is actually a tail dragger, but actually in the eyes of the law, it's a Motorglider. The two things are not exactly the same. A bit odd, but yeah. So big wings. Inside the Motorglider, things look fairly familiar, don't they?
Yeah.
You've got the same sort of usual 6-pack of instruments. Only real difference is this, the variometer, which is going to be telling us quite accurately how much we're going up or down by. There's a different system in this which very carefully monitors the change in pressure to give us an accurate reading of if we're rising or descending, and not just by the fact that we're pulling the stick back or moving it forwards.
And that's in knots?
That's in knots, yeah, or feet. Knots and feet per minute are fairly interchangeable on this. We've got FLARM as well as a transponder, GPS, as I say, GPS absolutely vital in the busy UK airspace structure now. And everything's sort of dual as it would be in a Cessna. The only difference is this blue lever, which controls the air brake.
Or the spoiler.
Or spoiler. When we're flying the Motorglider, when we come onto the approach, we generally change hands from being a power pilot into a glider pilot. So there's a lot of swapping hands. You need to be able to fly with your left and the right hand. In the instructor position, actually, it's a bit easier because you just need to fly with the right hand. But other than that, it's just a fairly standard sort of side-by-side aeroplane with just bigger wings. But yeah, 50 litre fuel tank burns about sort of 15 litres an hour, so runs on sort of UR91 or MoGas. So yeah, very, very efficient, and just around about £100 an hour to fly. So significantly cheaper than flying a regular SEP.
Yeah, hugely.
With only a slight speed difference that we can only really max out at 80 knots as we fly cross country in this. But with the benefit, we can save fuel, switch everything off, and effectively you're flying for free.
Yeah, it's awesome. Going for my first lesson, gliding lesson technically, so Jordan's going to do the takeoff, and then we'll get up to an altitude. I'll have a little go probably en route. We'll turn off the engine and run through some handling exercises.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at some exercises which, if we were to do it in a glider, we would have to take a number of launches. So it's actually more economical to do them in this, where we can just restart the engine when we get a bit low, climb up a bit. Depends how well Ben gets on. We might be able to do it in a couple, or it might be 4.
Good luck, gentlemen. Enjoy yourselves.
We're going to see
We've
if
had
Ben uses
2 hours.
Clear, prop. One, two, you can hear me. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so the oil pressure is good. Starter warning lights off. Launch name. Fairly simple. It gives you, at the moment it's not giving too much detail. I can change that a little bit. But we're just using this for airspace avoidance. The black line, controlled airspace, red the thing ATZ, yellow box is the Class C, which is 4,500 feet over there. Happy. So we'll listen to what the latest regional Q&H is. Okay, right, I think that's everything we need. Check's all clear around, got Rob in there. Okay, if you're not released, I can brake. And we'll go for a drive.
Released. Getting used to the size of the wingtip is going to be interesting. Reminding me of the Grob days.
Yeah, I'm about to say, it must be quite reminiscent.
I'm not going to say how many years ago it was, but it might be over 10.
Well, I was definitely alive, that's the main thing. Okay, so you've got the north side landing area, which we're sort of backtracking sort of on the side of at the moment. You can see the glider's all assembling on the runway now, because we've now the jet movement's out of the way and they've finished all the work, so they can start launching from there. But we're going to take off on this north side grass shortly. And performance for this aeroplane, minimum takeoff distance at max weight is around about 400 metres.
Oh, is that it? Wow, that's really good.
We're not going to need a short field takeoff today.
No, definitely not.
From outside the clubhouse, we're about...
Okay, so just be aware we've got cables on the north side grass on the airfield.
That's all copied. We're going to launch off the north side anyway. Okay, we'll do some power checks. Annoyingly, don't really want to do them at the clubhouse.
No.
So we'll point with a slight northwesterly. Okay, parking brake on, please. Fantastic. So parking brake is working, and everything was steering nicely. Okay, so 4,000 RPM. Bigger Rotax, as you know. These engines are geared, so they don't quite. The propeller isn't spinning quite that fast.
Yeah, that will be worrying.
Okay, fantastic. Oil temperatures just coming into the blue. Oil pressures on the right side. Consider it's good. Fine, fantastic. Okay, the only thing that's Hobbs meter. It's just counting when we're in the air. Okay, pre-takeoff check. The trim. Let's just set slightly forward to neutral. Mixture choke is closed off. The mags are set to both. Cowl flap is in the right position because we want the engine to be quite warm, so we're not consistently shock cooling it. Fuel, contents on, that's on, lots of fuel. Your gyros set to, or do we need to be just a little bit further around?
Yeah, there you go.
It's okay. Hatch secure, harness secure. Over. Okay, tow wheel is locked. Controls full free movements. Okay. Okay, so emergency brief. If we get an issue during the takeoff roll, if you want to call stop or I call stop, we'll close the throttle, bring the aircraft to a stop using the wheel brake. Once we're in the air, we'll land if possible on the remaining airfield or off the airfield in one of the fields there. At about 500 feet we'll come back to the airfield as long as we've got 60 knots. Obviously being a motor glider completely different to an SCP, this thing will get round the turn, but 60 knots will be our approach speed for all exercises today. So finally, land lights on, transponder approach, we'll double check in a moment. Okay, you all secure, ready for departure?
I'm happy.
Okay, we're going to release the brake, I'll just go for a quick one. Double check. Yeah, have a good look your side, just check there's nothing on the final approach. Coming on the north side of the runway, looks all clear to me.
All clear.
So follow through on the stick.
Follow through. We should go left. I don't know. Right.
Flash'em, Golf Head X-ray, departing runway 27 north side. Okay, so smooth it over the power. Bit of crosswind from the right, as we can see with the windsock. A bit more trim forwards. Airspeed's alive. T's and B's in the green. Bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. Okay, building up towards 60 and climbing away. Okay, so when you're ready, you have control.
I have control. And 70 do you want? Or?
Yes, 70's fine actually. And we'll now begin to start turn onto heading on 210 when you're ready.
Tallying wider left.
Your throttle as well.
My throttle. Yeah, it's a different sensation.
Yeah.
That trim is different as well.
It's quite stiff, isn't it? I'll just take you around the noise avoid areas. Just bring the throttle back to about 4.6. Just so we are at max continuous. Fuel pumps off. Everything's looking good. Probably just in a bit of sinking air here. We'll slowly climb up. We can now come onto a westerly heading when you're ready. Just get a feel for how she flies.
Yeah, you can feel the wings. You definitely can. Slightly closer to the north for now.
Yeah, that's good. We'll continue the climb. We'll try and get up towards cloud base. You can see a bit of lower cloud here, cumulus, but there's some stratocumulus slightly higher up, where we can go and switch the engine off. Or in fact, why don't we go in that gap? If you come onto a heading of about 320.
Probably a wee bit better at 60, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah, she's quite heavy, so max fuel and...
That Basingstoke there?
That's Basingstoke over there. So Lasham just behind the wing. Popham's going to be in a sort of 10 o'clock direction. And you can see this is following sort of on track up. Are you a track up or north up, man? You both?
I'm either Royal, yeah.
Good, same as me then.
Skydemon, north up, but work stuff track up.
Yeah. The local airspace around here in this direction, pretty clear. 5,500 feet on the QNH above here. That's when we have to start getting worried.
Great bubble canopy, really nice visibility.
Yeah, if we were in a glider right now, this is not particularly the best sky. There's a little bit too much sort of cloud just stopping the sun getting to the ground. But you can see where sun is getting to the ground. You are getting small bits of cumulus.
Oh, okay, so that little bubbling there, that potentially could be a thermal.
Yeah. So one slightly odd rule in this, because this is a hybrid, at the moment we have to comply with the 1,000-foot rule to remain VMC. As soon as we switch the engine off, that doesn't apply anymore. So on a day like today, that's not going to be particularly helpful.
Yeah.
But if it was soarable, we might find a thermal over here, then it would be pretty useful, because we could just sit at cloud base.
So are we saying, is that below, because above 3,000 feet we need to be 1,000 foot vertically?
So gliders can operate IMC, so we try and avoid where possible, but when we talk about IMC, that doesn't necessarily mean the glider's in the cloud, it just means that gliders operating close to cloud base above 3,000 feet. There are ratings and stuff you can to fly in cloud, but there's no actual...
Cool, yeah, this line here might not be too bad if we parallel Popham, what we AGL wise.
Yeah, it will be 3,000 feet. and as long as we restart by about 1500, I'll be fairly happy. We can, if it doesn't start, then we'll drop into nip in. So yes, we're going to stop the engine bed very shortly. That's quite unusual to do in a powered aeroplane.
It is, yeah, very interesting.
So what we need to do is we need to set the RPM to 3000 for about 30 seconds.
That is a sticky
Yeah,
throttle.
it's a very, yeah.
And do we target the triangle?
Yeah, on the triangle, we'll just run like that for a little while. And then I think we'll do most of our turns sort of we'll just get out of the top of the bottom overhead.
Yeah, I'm just doing a parallel of the motorway.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sort of way.
Yep. There's silent listening on. Right, so throttle to idle now, so just close the throttle.
Idle.
Avionics is fine. Speed about where it is now, not more than 47.
Copy.
Okay, ready? We're going to go gliding. Oh no!
Oh yeah.
I'll just move the propeller out of the way
Thanks.
for you. No.
Yeah, Jordan, the engine's not on.
Oh dear!
What do we do now?
Mayday, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so try and restart it.
Okay, so best glide is about where that yellow triangle is, but I think Scrabble may have mentioned that to you. So
To readjust my pedals now, the position I've got used to is no engine.
and annoyingly, we don't actually have much of a rise. Let's actually come round to the left.
Yeah, she needs more left rudder in a turn now.
Yeah.
No slipstream effect. And we're coming down here about 500 feet a minute.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of sink. Okay, so yeah, about level there. So, 50 knots, let it just settle down, then just look at the nose attitude in front of you. That's the normal gliding attitude for this glider at this speed. 50 knots being best glide, we'll get 20 to 1, not very much, but that's
Better than a Cessna.
better than a Cessna. So everything is controlled by attitude. So if you ease stick forwards, we'll enter a new attitude. We'll certainly go faster, but look at the rate of descent.
Yeah.
Getting a much higher rate of descent there. Probably down to about 14 to 1 on our glide ratio. And if we raise the nose now, let's go to 45. Or sort of 43 would be minimum 6 speed. That will reset in just a moment. You can see there we've probably just got a little bit less, sort of about 3 knots down. And that means we'll spend the longest amount of time in the air, but we won't cover the most distance. So that is generally the pitch control of the airplane. So maybe just have a go at trimming for the various attitudes. This is quite sticky. You might only find that it works in between 50 and 60 because we're at max takeoff weight.
Yeah, so the trim at the moment is fully aft.
Fully aft.
So yeah, which is trim actually trim perfectly for the triangle.
Okay, fantastic. Just trim forwards for 60.
Oh, very slippery, like you said. So
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Good. Okay, so that's fairly simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have control. I'm just going to show you adverse yaw caused by sort of the increased lift and drag coming from the upgoing wing. So in most aeroplanes, you'll find that you can just mostly use these as footrests. But gliders, because of our long wings and long ailerons, this becomes more of a problem. And I'll demonstrate this by, let's do a turn to the left, and let's see if I take my feet off the pedals, which way the nose goes. So looking left and right, check it's all clear. And I'm going to go to the left, and look, the nose goes right, and right goes left. And here he goes, what the hell's going on there? So that is adverse yaw. See, rudder works nice and well. And by using stick and rudder together, we're able to combat the adverse yaw. So we have a good look at it again, and you follow through on the controls.
Following through it.
I'm going to do a turn to the left, so feel on the pedals, stick to the left wing goes down. Once I've in the turn, I reduce the amount of rudder, stick in the centre, a little bit of back pressure. All really basic stuff really. And then to come out, the same. Now let's compare that to a slightly steeper turn. If I want to do a steeper turn, I need to use more rudder and more sticking. I might not be able to keep the ball quite in the centre.
I'm sure you will, Jordan.
But it'll be fairly close. And again, so the more rudder we use, the more stick we use, or vice versa. Okay. So I'm going to restart the engine now. So you have control, just maintain sort of westerly heading, 50 knots. So, start the engine in flight.
Currently 1,000 feet or 1023, 2,000 feet.
So avionics are fine, cowl flap is open, throttle closed, ignition on, avionics, okay.
Tango Roger, just confirm your intended altitude en route.
Okay, let's go out towards the west, because there's a big hole there.
Copy.
Sorry,
And it's sort of this environment that we sometimes might be faced with if we're going wave soaring. If you're descending from flight level 240, you don't want to come down that quickly. Otherwise it'll do your ears in.
What would you do in a glide now? If the task was this way, you're on top of the cloud. Would you risk it?
That wouldn't be possible unless it was wave soaring. In which case, given this, I wouldn't feel particularly comfortable because I know the gap's a bit smaller. But if you see lots of these, then yeah, we spend a lot of time looking at sort of satellite images. I generally also think when it's like this, it's actually, as long as you've got gaps, it's actually safer to be above here. I can see what's going to come.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless something flies out of the cloud.
No, I completely agree.
But then.
Nice.
So, while we've got the engine on, I'd like you to go through a hassle check.
Cool.
When you're ready. This one will include engine, and it's just fuel pump on and just check the T's and P's are in good nick. So, whenever you're ready.
Cool. Height-wise, we are sufficient for recovery. We're targeting 5.5. Airframe, we are clean. Air brakes are in. Security, no loose articles. Engine, T's and P's are all good. Location, we're clear of airfields, built-up areas, control airspace, and danger areas.
We can actually go up probably to a little bit higher now.
Why not? And then we'll look out accordingly when we manoeuvre in a minute.
Yep.
25 Charlie, your middle at max penetration is approved, maintaining outside of their ATZ, reportedly Gibraltar.
Middle one, max penetration approved, remaining outside their ATZ, will code Gibraltar, and at all debris this time, remember 25 Charlie.
You have control if you're going to turn it off.
I'm just going to do a couple of...
Cool, yeah, I suppose. There's only really me looking now.
Nighthawk, squawk 7361. 7361, Nighthawk.
Look, we're gliding again. I've caused you an engine failure.
The engine stopped. Wow.
Right, okay, so we've done our hassle check. So you have control.
I control.
So I just want you to bring the aircraft into a nose drop stall. Just find just a very traditional stall. That's sort of how you get on with it. Normal recovery. Just stick forwards. Just keep bringing the stick back. Let us stall. Nice nose high altitude. Nose coming down by itself. A little bit of buffet you probably felt there. Just a little bit. And yeah, perfect. Want to have another go at that?
Yeah,
just find where that is. We spend quite a lot of time looking at the lack of effect of the elevator as well, because that's probably the most reliable symptom of the stall.
Just trying to hold it a bit more.
Yeah.
Yes, you can feel the buffet.
Yeah. Superb. So we'll now have a look at a mushing stall, and I'll demonstrate this one initially. So I have control.
You have control?
So we're going to sort of reduce the speed at about a knot a second, and the aim of looking at this is potentially if you slow down the approach, or maybe if you're going in a straight line, you can get into the situation where it doesn't really feel like you're going to stall.
Yeah.
But there's the buffet, stick's coming back, aeroplane's sort of flying, not very much of control authority, and about there, see the elevator stop working?
Yep.
And yep, rate of descent's quite high.
Yep.
And you could basically sit at this all the way to the ground.
Yeah, it's not great.
So, stick forwards, recover. So it's a little bit more positive just to sort that out. So I'm going to get you to have a go at that. So when you're ready, you have control.
I have control.
So about there, that's about as high as you want it, maybe even a touch forward. Nice and slow, no rushing.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. Fantastic. And recover. Good. Okay. So I'll now demonstrate the changing effect of the rudder.
Cool, you have control?
I have control. So first of all, rudder at speed, well we know. lots of yaw.
She's pretty good.
But slower speeds, especially when we're thinking about thermaling, we may end up in a situation where we want to roll, or we want to put a lot of stick and rudder together. But if I do that and apply too much rudder, look at the amount of roll I start to get.
Oh wow, yeah. That's a huge amount, isn't it?
Yeah, like that. So you can see.
Yeah,
Quite exciting.
yeah.
So
If you kept it in there, would be slightly UP.
So worth sort of keeping that in mind whenever we're doing sort of exercises close to the stall. Using lots of rudder is not a particularly good item. We're now going to have a look at a wing drop stall. So very similar to how it is in the Power World. Nose above the horizon, speed's coming back. If I got a little bit of rudder on, find the nose drops by itself. Lower the nose, level the wings with stick and rudder, ease out of the dive.
Yeah, she picks up quick.
Yeah. Okay, have a go at that. You have control.
I have control.
Oh, that's quite exciting.
Wow, I'm going to do it properly, aren't you?
And one more to the right, you don't have to do it quite that dramatic.
Okay, fine, mate.
Keep her in the utility category. Lovely, fantastic, and recover. And we'll have a look, if we come round now onto a, let's come on all the way around onto a normally heading Chilbolton Airfield, just that little strip, got it, it's down there, come round onto it completely normally. As we're a glider at the moment, the rules are slightly different. Yeah, and over, that is, so we'll... That's good. So any comments so far?
No,
Much
happy.
differences?
No,
Good.
yeah, it's all just the perception, the feels different. Also, you're going a lot slower, and the feedback from the controls is different also.
Yeah.
But yeah, big picture, happy.
Yeah, good. Okay, we'll have a just quick look at a spiral dive. So I have control.
You have control?
So we'll have a look at some situations where a spin may occur, and instead they're going to go into spiral dive as this aeroplane's not certified for spinning. So spinning generally occurs from various attitudes, such as when we're coming onto the final turn, base to final spin, or potentially a thermal. Let's look at that one because that's quite new for a power pilot.
1023, squawk, contiguity, equal 5.
So here we are, we're in our thermal. Scrabble's come to join us, and maybe we're getting a bit distracted because he's waving at us. He's showing his latest new aeroplane or whatever he's doing, and I might start to load the rudder up because I want to increase the bank of turn. And we're now skidding. As you can see, the left wing will drop, and we'll go into a spiral dive. The speed's increasing, the G's increasing. Roll wings level, ease out the dive. Probably all stuff you've seen from EPRT.
Cool.
Okay, so I'll get you into the scenario, and if you want to recover.
Roger.
So you have control.
I have control.
That's really all there is to it. With most of those exercises, if we get a chance, we'll have a go at spinning.
Cool.
But for now, if we come round onto a easterly heading, we'll start making our way back. Just get used to still using that rudder. See how far we can glide for.
And still target the yellow triangle?
Yep, that's still best glide. Okay, we'll climb up, and I'm then going to demonstrate a glider circuit once we're in that vicinity.
Yeah, fascinating.
So then we go into the classroom, have a little bit more chat about glider circuits, and then you're going to have a crack at some.
So can you just eyeball this? You just know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Thing is, what I do know is we're going obviously into wind. This thing, if we get lots of sink. So yeah, initially we teach sort of glide angles. I mean, if this was a K21, would be home and dry, no problem at all. But
yeah,
I'm thinking this thing is not very gliding.
Yeah.
So good. Back to 3000 when you're ready. We'll close down in a moment. The Ash 25, you can almost have a sort of almost on the horizon, and you'll get there.
Wow.
But the whole way we teach gliding is that looks about right.
Yeah.
Another engine failure. We keep doing this. It's not very good.
Yeah,
is
you don't like your engine today, do you?
Yeah.
Does it give you the wind on here? It's the same.
It can, yeah. It works it based off of GPS drift. So it would have worked it off that thermal we were in. we're coming back in, although we wouldn't get this long normally to have a look, we can sort of see the airfield layouts. You can see that there's lots of kit on the runway where we're winching from. A few gliders sort of littered about at the start of the landing area on the north side, but other than that, nice and clear for the central triangle where we're landing. I'll probably get you to have a go at the landing.
Cool, okay.
Ooh, a little bit of lift there, that's good.
Going to pitch up when I feel that, not down.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess natural reaction for you is
Maintain altitude.
Maintain altitude. Because you look at these clouds, and if I was in a powered aircraft wanting to go for a smooth ride, I'd go through that area, not under these two.
Yeah, I had no idea before I started reading about this, about thermals and how to look for them, and you know, it's fascinating really.
So all of these would definitely have lift under them, looking at the sort of the...
So I could go a bit wider here.
You could, but
well, we've got plenty of height.
We've got plenty of height. I mean, it's not as if every cloud is necessarily telling the correct story. Yesterday they were finding, because the ground's been damp, some of the clouds are being produced a little bit too easy.
Oh, okay.
But
it's just to go sort of between the two tree lines.
yeah, so it's going to be we're going to join downwind.
What, where do you want to be low key really?
So yeah, so low key generally for gliders is sort of a beam the reference points of where we're going to land. Chinook 10 o'clock, no factor. Reference point in gliding, probably some people get it confused with aiming point. It's not where you're going to land, it's where you're going to round out.
Yeah.
So it's where you're going to flare. So our reference point is going to be sort of a beam, the sort of cross runway that you can see, that little bit of concrete just sticking out the side on 2-3 at the eastern end. So, and we're going to land on the centre of a bit of grass. So
got it.
You're probably around the low key position at the moment. And at this point we just sort of fly at best glide, sort of maximise our range. Basically, we're now in a position where I'm going to treat it that we are now pure glider. I'm not going to attempt to restart the engine, and we do not have a missed approach plan. It will just be land off of this. Glider just coming up the winch. Visual. Remember that's Q and H, so we are now 1,000 feet if I go on to QFE.
Checked.
Okay, checks landing. Fuel is, well, we're not using the engine. Radio is on Lasham. Engine, T-P's are all off. Hatches harness. I'm going to turn the transponder off as we're now in the circuit. Actually, we're a little bit on the high side here. Not a problem, we can just take it round a bit further. If I have control just for a moment, I'm just going to demonstrate just very quickly with the air brakes. So as the brakes come open, the nose is going to go down on this aeroplane. Got it. That's what we really want. On some aircraft they don't, it goes the opposite way.
Yeah.
You have control.
I have control.
Normal 3-point attitude for a tail wheel.
And then stick back when we land. Happy. That's sort of a beam the touchdown point about there.
Yep, that's fine. And we're going to
aiming point, sorry.
Reference point. Aiming points and power. We're going to come on to something called a diagonal base in a moment. I mean, what you're doing at the moment is absolutely perfect because you're correcting for the wind. The diagonal is going to be at a weird angle as well because we're going to have almost a full tailwind. And we'll need to make that final turn and base just that little bit early. So this isn't going to be the perfect demonstration of a gliding circuit, but we'll have a good go at it. So we've passed the reference point now, so 60 knots. So we actually increase speed for landing, different to power. And now onto the diagonal. Checking there's nobody behind us. 60 knots, all clear. My side. Nothing on the extended final.
45 there-ish.
Golf Hotel X-ray, standing base to final 27 north side. Golf Hotel. Okay, so just keep the brakes closed at the moment.
Golf Hotel X-ray, just be aware one winch might be going short.
That's Roger, we're just turning final now. Golf Hotel X-ray, and visual K1 north side.
Visual with you, we'll hold for the minute.
Okay, cool. So just get past this glider. And we're wanting to keep away from the winch, you can see there.
Got it.
So when we're ready, open full air brake. Feel 60 knots all the way down. Going to be a little bit of crosswind from the right, just maintain 60 knots. We're going to go for a wind gradient, quite potentially a significant one.
Lasham launch point 775.
775, go ahead.
Back. Hey!
Today, mate.
We're over on the north side. We need a buggy if somebody can be found.
nice and easy.
Good. Fantastic. Okay. So I'm control and
Yeah,
I'll
control.
taxi her back in.
Oh, that wasn't too bad. Little bounce, but
That was alright, it's a bit of a crossfit today. Turns on the spot, which is nice.
perfect.
Okay, shutdown check. So throttle's closed, parking brake